This is the Butler Knob shelter. And I see the fire is still burning, so it must be somebody not far away. Picnic table, and there's a bear pole right here. Beautiful view here. Just came off a spot that had some cell towers. I just left the mountain Butler Knob viewpoint, and it was pretty interesting, beautiful shot. And I just heard a bunch of something busting through the brush on my right, but up ahead I saw the white tail, so it was him. But it was interesting back at that cell tower spot on Butler Knob, I guess. Or I met a couple, Mark and Misha, and he was a big bicyclist, so I got lots of good information about biking and advice on gravel bikes and all that. So it's well worth the short stop to chat with him. I've had a fair amount of smaller rocks and roots, and that's kind of gentle here, but got that Hall of the Mountain King coming up, and that's going to be big rocks. So I have to negotiate that. But it's a beautiful day, sun's shining, but it's cool. Probably in the 70s somewhere. I'm approaching the Hall of the Mountain King. The spot that was inspired by, well, the naming of the spot was inspired by the Eric Burdon and War song Spill the Wine from 1970. I entered back there, the Hall of the Mountain King. Beautiful view all the way around. And I'm going back in the woods up here. Just popped out in a beautiful view here. So I'm in the throne room right now. Came through over here. Back there was the King's Chamber. I just walked through it. Just doing a road walk here on Forest Service Road. And I'm heading up in that direction up there. But there's a nice view down here. It looks like some logging activity going on down here. But it's a beautiful day. And I guess we're looking about east at this point. I've been road walking for a while. Came down from this way. Ever since I really came down from the throne room and got back on a mountain road, or a service road. I'm going to be going on this for a while. So this is day 4 for me. Got about a 12-7 leg into the town of Mapleton, where ear panic will pick me up. And I think I got about 7.5 or so to go. Not lighting the world on fire today, but it's okay. I'm not really liking this road walking, although it is easy, don't get me wrong. And today has been the first time I've seen humans on the trail. I saw another whitetail today, so that was the second. I think I mentioned that earlier. I heard a crashing off to the right, and I kind of thought that might have been Yogi and Boo Boo. But then I saw the deer cross the trail in front of me, about 50 meters down. So when me and Ia drove up a pretty precarious road to drop me off today, we came up Jack's Tower Road, and it was a pretty rugged road. After a big rain, it'd be a real mess. so we weren't too excited about that. But anyway, there were a couple of people behind us in a car, and they pulled up ahead of us where we were at the parking lot. And then I saw them not far up the trail at there were a bunch of cell phone towers up there. And Mark and Misha, and they were Pennsylvanians, and we had a nice chat. He was a big biker, cyclist, and so we had a real nice talk and about gravel bikes and all that. So he gave me some good pointers and tips. But and then when I came down, after I went across Hall of the Mountain King and came down from the throne room, the big rock areas there, I met another guy who was just coming up to go to the throne room, and then he was coming back down. I don't know exactly where he parked, but I guess somewhere along here. I took a water break and a break a little while back, but yeah, it's pretty good. This road walk's probably okay. I got a right toe that's bothering me, the big toe. It's an arthritic thing, and I was trying to get a few shots before I came out here, but I couldn't get an appointment until we get back on the 30th, and I got a hard date to be out of here on the 29th, so we'll see how today goes, and I'll make a call at the end of the day. That's about it. Let me figure out where I'm at. I think I might have to jump back in the woods here in a moment. So a lot of this, I'm in a parking area here. It's not marked on FarOut, but obviously this is state gambling per the sign up in the upper left, and there's no camping on that. So in fact, parts of the trail get closed or get rerouted during hunting season, as I discovered the other day when I got off trail. But I think here's the parking area with some trails that go off it for the hunters, and I'm heading back out to the road, and I've got to continue heading north. All right, so a few tenths of a mile back, I finally ended a long road walk that had a pretty good hill at the end of it, and I was in the sun, so I pulled my hiking hat down, and this is a first ever appearance of this thing on the trail. But I was in the sun, and I got somebody buzzing around me. I was in the sun, and I didn't have any sunblock on, so I wanted to protect my head. So that's it. So I've got about 4+ to get in the town of Mapleton, but there's water coming up in about 2 miles, and I think I'm going to stop because I'm pretty low. But this has been a grind, a little bit of a grind. I've got this big toe issue, and I'll talk more about that later on. But I'll have to kind of evaluate where I am, because today's the 26th, and I've got to be out on the 29th because of travel. And I've got 3 good days ahead of me that are going to be about 15 miles each, and my toe is not cooperating on the right side, so more to follow on that. I've got to get some water. So that's it. I'm heading off in this direction, but I'm at the top of this big rock field with a nice view off to the west. Coming down here alongside a big wall of rocks, and I'm continuing to work my way down. I've been losing elevation for quite a while. Got a bunch of rocks in here, in this draw coming down. That probably gets pretty wild in the heavy rain. This is the Mapleton Water Reservoir, and I'm supposed to pass quickly through this, and I'm guessing I get on that road because I haven't seen a blaze, but let me get on it. Just came down this road, and I'm on Main Street right now, but I've seen this interesting point up in the top of the hill there. 3 crosses up there. Going across the Juniata River. And this is a Veterans Bridge, and they've got All the flags up. Train's coming.
Here, who I found. What are you doing, Hiker?
This is Stairway in Heaven. As mentioned earlier, I was having a big toe issue on the hike. Actually, both big toes have some significant arthritis, but the right was worse on this hike. After completing 4 days, I had the final 3 to do, and I would need to do about 15 miles each day. I knew this would be a stretch with the aching toe, and I was up against an upcoming trip, which would have required my last hiking day to be a short one. As such, I decided to end my hike after 4 days. Another issue did not become apparent until near the end of day 4. I stopped at a creek at about 10 miles to get some much-needed water as I was somewhat dehydrated. I filtered water and downed about 2.5 liters. It was hot, mid-80s. I was sweating profusely, and I noted as I had my pack off that I had an itchy rash going on around my waist. I tried to mitigate the rash with some Gold Bond powder with minimal success. After getting water, I pressed on for the just shy of 3 miles to complete the day's hike. After Ia picked me up, we returned to a hotel and I got cleaned up. I noted other irritated areas around my chest and arms, but I chalked this up to some sort of heat rash, something I haven't felt in years. I went to bed that night thinking all would be well. I awoke about 3 a.m. and was itching all over, to include my crotch area. I got out of bed and saw splotches of irritation all over my body. Ia saw this and said we were heading to the hospital. I agreed, and I said we would head over in a few hours. I thought of one thing I did that may have added to this rash. After completion of day 3, that was the day before I finished, I needed to wash my hiking clothes. The hotel had several washers and dryers, which cost $1.75 and $1 respectively. Being the tightwad that I am, I decided that I would wash my clothes in the sink and then take them to the dryer. I had some laundry pods, so I broke one in the sink full of water and proceeded to hand wash my clothes. I rinsed them as well as I could and then took them to the dryer. Perhaps I didn't rinse out all the detergent. This made me think of several years ago when me and my friend Lex were hiking in Maine. Several hikers, including Lex, suffered a bad rash that may have been attributed to the laundry at a hostel in which we stayed. Anyway, about 7 a.m., I headed over to the VA hospital. It was right next to the hotel in Altoona. This was my first trip to a VA hospital for medical assistance, and it turned out to be excellent. I was seen by a doc in just a few moments, which was quite impressive as it was Sunday morning. I explained my situation to the doc, including my do-it-yourself laundry experience. He checked me out and estimated my situation was possibly one of 3 things. First, a reaction to the laundry detergent. Second, a heat rash. And third, possibly poison ivy. He'd said they'd give me some Benadryl via IV, keep me for a few hours of observation, and then send me on my way with some meds. Once the IV went in, I felt immediate relief, and after a few hours, I was back at the hotel. I took my medication for several days afterward. This included an antihistamine and a steroid. I am pretty sure this was all due to my sink laundry without getting out all the detergent. It was pretty dumb in retrospect, all to save less than $2. My lesson learned was use a machine designed to clean your clothes, or alternatively, just use hot water to get the stink out. Yet another dumbass Duprat thing, but I again learned my lesson the hard way. I will finish up this trail in the future. The Standing Stone Trail is a good one, and I think it is a good one-week trail. It, like the Foothills Trail, is a good training hike for the Appalachian Trail.